Hello, welcome back to the channel. Happy Saturday. And today we're going to have a tea party fairy tale called Snow White and the Seven, really 6, Sovereign Citizens. Now, I have a story from long ago that has much to teach us today, if any of us had the smarts to pay attention. Otherwise, civilization is doomed. Of all the virtuous young women around, Snow White was everyone's favourite. She studied hard, went to church, visited the poor, and faced the future with confidence and optimism. She was also gorgeous, which, doesn't hurt in the long run. The only person in the castle who didn't love her was her stepmother, the Queen. The Queen was a vain, self-centred woman who envied Snow White's initiative and pluck. A life of privilege had skewed the Queen's view of how the world really works. She was always meddling in people's lives, haranguing them about what they ate, how they drove their carriages, what they dumped in their moats. Her nose was stuck so much into other people's business that the kingdom was on the verge of economic collapse. That smart young go-getter Snow White ran a greenhouse for growing lovely roses, and she became famous for their beauty and fair price. The attention she received for it drove her stepmother nearly insane with jealousy. "Why does everyone love her and not me?" the stepmother would moan. When she was particularly in the mood for self-pity, the Queen would lock herself in a special room with a shiny floor and marble walls, and empty except for one lone magic mirror on the wall. Because of its construction, this sanctuary became known as her echo chamber, and she spent many hours in there feeling sorry for herself. "I know what's best for everyone," she told the mirror. "I know the proper lifestyle choices that would make everyone healthier and live longer. I know the best books to read and the best thoughts to think, yet Snow White is everyone's favourite." The magic mirror said, "Snow White will soon inspire the masses to think for themselves and get off their asses." The Queen asked, "Oh, that's dreadful. What should I do?" The mirror replied, "Ruin her name and drive her from sight. The peasants will soon lose all of their fight." This advice so pleased the Queen that she appointed the mirror to a new position hanging in the lobby. The mirror was very grateful. To pull in the big bucks in that place and time, one had to be a lobbyist. So the maternalistic tax and spend monarchocrat decided to get Snow White out of the picture. She sent royal government inspectors to Snow White's rose garden. Those meddling incompetents were able to discover many business violations in the operation. Failure to hire minority contractors, lack of employee health insurance or daycare, even though Snow White was the only person working there, bee exploitation, and a raft of occupational safety violations. Poor Snow White was shocked. She had no idea that she was required to file down each and every rose thorn to protect consumers from injury. With all the harassment from the Queen and her government stooges, Snow White came to the tearful realization that she was going to have to uproot and start her business again, out in the wilderness. She packed up her tools and her goods for barter, due to the imminent global financial collapse, and headed off into the frontier. It was beautiful and wild in the woods, and it renewed in Snow White her pioneer spirit. Soon she came across a small cottage, decorated in just the most precious manner. Its garden was full of showy, garish flowers like gardenias and hydrangeas. There was a gravel path, neatly manicured and magazine layout perfect, which led around the back to a hot tub, surrounded by tiki torches and a poolside bar. From what the innocent Snow White could tell, this hot tub was the scene of many a drunken frolic. The tree little cottage looked deserted now. Curious about its occupants, Snow White was tempted to enter. Her respect for private property rights was so strong, however, that she couldn't push her way in until she had convinced herself that she smelled smoke inside, thus presenting a clear and present danger. And speaking of clear and present dangers, that's exactly what she found inside. The small cottage was an explosion of throw pillows, potpourri, tchotchkes, and overdone window treatments. The shower and bathroom counter were choked with every skin and hair product known to man. The walls were decorated with organza-bedecked mirrors and very immodest paintings of bodybuilders wearing skin-tight sailor outfits and leathered lederhosen. My, Snow White asked aloud, I wonder how many old ladies live here. Meanwhile, back in Storybook Land, the Queen celebrated by ruling that all school children start their day with songs denouncing religion and extolling multiculturalism, such as G-D is dead, let's break a piñata. Thus, the infantilizing of Storybook Land continued, as her subjects fell even deeper into the trap of secular dependency. They, of course, didn't care, as long as they had free Wi-Fi. Ba-ba, sheeples, ba-ba. Too long, however, the kingdom found itself headed toward fiscal disaster. The governess state had promised everything to everybody. Crowds of union courtiers, footmen, hostlers, chambermaids, falconers, and scullions were all sucking on the public teat, with bloated salaries and pensions. This cancerous state of affairs led to the death of free enterprise, and it's no exaggeration to say that freedom had been strangled like a baby in a cradle, and then chopped up, pulverised, set on fire, and fed to wild dingoes. When the keeper of the royal treasury gave even the slightest hint that the gravy train might be derailed, the more anarchic peasants started rioting and screaming about class warfare. The Queen, in a tizzy, ran to her lobby and the magic mirror. She had to find a way, she knew, to show the support of capitalism so she could utterly destroy it. Give me a plan, O scheming mirror, to make my pro-capitalist cred clearer. The magic mirror replied, Though you found Snow White grating, she'd surely have a high Q rating. Use the girl as an example, while on citizens' rights you trample. Snow White, of course. If Snow White could be brought back to storybook land somehow, the bond markets would respond favourably, allowing the Queen to take on more debt, maintain entitlement programmes, and kick the royal can down the road a little bit more. But the question remained, how to do it? Meanwhile, back in the woods, Snow White staked out a claim in the forest, very near the precious little cottage, and began to set up her rose-growing business again. She picked a very nice spot with a water source and lots of sunshine. Dressed in her work clothes and heavy boots, she was ready to put in an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, just like the Bible commands. She was just unloading drums of insecticide when a group of small men appeared around her. They were fashionably dressed, though their expensive shoes didn't look very durable. They stood quietly, intently examining her face with sceptical expressions. Finally, one of them said, I don't know, ladies. Beneath all that grime and sweat, it could be just about anything. Who are you? Asked Snow White, a little startled. One little man with a neatly groomed beard said, The better question is, who are you? I'm Snow White, your new neighbour. I'm just an independent business owner who's been forced out of the kingdom by the Queen. Which Queen? Said one. Why, the Queen, of course. Listen, if you're in trouble with another Queen, she's going to have to take a number, said a little man, to which all his companions muttered, Hear, hear, snap, and Your little garden centre is right next to our patio, said the one with the trimmed beard. Do you think we want to throw parties with such an organic activity going on next door? I'm not very organic, Snow White protested, not at all. I use all chemical fertilisers and pest control products. They're as safe to use as they ever were. Oh, that's very reassuring, Dorothy, said one sarcastically with a roll of his eyes. My name is Snow White, she said, not Dorothy. We know a friend of Dorothy when we see one, he replied, indicating her sweaty clothes. You look like you don't just do heavy lifting. You look like you, enjoy it. I sure do, she smiled proudly. Hard work never killed anybody. Never did a thing for your hands either. What do all of you men do for work? As a group they all shouted, Stylist! Snow White was puzzled. And we out here, who are your clients? All the little men pointed in a circle at one another. Listen, our lifestyle is our business, one little man said. We chose it in our teens because, well, because. We're not hurting anyone. We moved out here to be with our own kind and plot our takeover agenda in peace and quiet. And since that soulless hedonistic plan involves a lot of raunchy hot tub parties, you're just going to have to pack up your Mary, Mary, quite contrary act and take it on the road. Snow White thought for a minute and then said, Wait, you're all men, and you have lots of hot tub parties. There was a brief silence. One little man counted off the seconds. Tick, 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 tick. Another scoffed, Yeah, those chemicals ain't done nothing to your brain, sister. The next week Snow White was tending her garden, pruning away smaller, weaker branches to force large, beautiful blossoms, because that's how it works in horticulture and in life. Up to her gate walked a middle-aged woman in a trim business suit. The older woman greeted her by saying, How's business? Can't complain, said Snow White, standing up. I just shipped an order of roses up to the barren wasteland mountains, thanks to their relaxed tariffs, ready to keep growing. The older woman smiled. Glad to hear it. A real small business success story. Your next step should be to come back to the kingdom to inspire other business people. What? Why? In our new enterprise zone you'll pay lower taxes. But I don't pay taxes here. have an appeals process for certain impending regulations. I have no regulations here. I can choose the finest labour in the kingdom from the list of approved minority groups. Snow White huffed. This doesn't sound like enterprise at all. It sounds like a showy boondoggle that would allow you to look good and pay off special interests while benefiting from my hard work. The old woman laughed. But, my dear, it would benefit everyone. It could pay off for you if you knew how to play ball. This comment infuriated Snow White so much that she threw a watering can across the yard. I can see right through your disguise, you know, stepmother. The Queen was shocked by this. How could you tell? You're just not truly from Storybook Land. From a mile away, anyone could tell you have alien values. I'm beginning to think those birthers were right. The Queen tried to calm Snow White down. Listen, kid, let's be reasonable. The people want to see some compromise, which is just another word for stab in the back. Then you don't leave me any choice, said the Queen. I can annex this land for the kingdom and do what I want anyway. I have scribes working on the legislation right now to nationalise the place. Don't you think the people in our kingdom deserve some roses too? Though Snow White generally had a sweet disposition, these ideas made the very blood in her patriotic body boil. What right had the Queen to come in and try and take over a business that she had slaved over for years? She thought of how appropriate the logo for her nursery business now appeared. A picture of Snow White herself watering the rose bush of liberty with the blood of tyrants, a nod to the great thinker Thomas Jefferson, who wouldn't be born for many hundreds of years yet. You may have gotten where you are through fraud and the apathy of your subjects, said Snow White, but out here in G's country we can see through your swindles. You're a permanent elitist class sucking the life out of the good working people of Storybook Land. We deserve to be led by better leaders, those who know what they are doing and can gather the best talent around them, the very best. Like an elite? The Queen asked. Yes, like an elite. No, wait a minute. How about an elite that's not quite so good? Listen, Snow. All the other kingdoms around here are set up the same way. Why should we be any different? Because Storybook Land is not like any other kingdom. We're exceptional. The shining city on the hill. This kingdom has been blessed more than any other in history ever, and we won't let it die because of corrupt leaders like you. The Queen smiled condescendingly. Dream on, kid. How can one individual stand up to this juggernaut? Snow White walked over to her fence, saying, But I'm not a single individual. On the fence hung a large chuck-wagon triangle, which she hit rapidly with an iron bar. At the sound, out of her neighbour's house marched the 7 little men. They entered the garden and stood in a group around the young girl. That's the end of part 1. Part 2 coming soon. The end. Don't forget to like and subscribe and press the wee bell notification. And a huge big thank you to all my subscribers, patrons and members. See you next week. Bye bye.